Inferiority complex. Imagine walking into a room and immediately feeling like you're the human version of a knockoff brand. That's the inferiority complex. A sneaky little voice in your head that whispers, everyone here is smarter, funnier, and better looking than you. It's like having a personal troll living rent-free in your brain, constantly comparing you to others and declaring you the loser. Take Steve, for example. Steve spends weeks preparing a killer presentation for work. He nails it, gets applause, and even a few "great job" emails. But instead of basking in the glory, he fixates on Karen's casual comment about font choices. Suddenly, he's convinced Karen's napkin doodles are more impressive than his entire career. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it turns you into your own worst enemy. You downplay achievements, avoid opportunities, and spiral into self-doubt. It's like trying to win a race while carrying a backpack full of bricks labeled, "I'm not good enough." The inferiority complex doesn't just steal your joy, it hijacks your potential. And let's be real, life's too short to let your inner critic run the show. Impostor syndrome. Impostor syndrome. The art of feeling like a fraud even when you're absolutely killing it. It's that nagging voice that says, sure, you got the promotion, but it's only a matter of time before they realize you Googled how to be a manager last week. You could win a Nobel Prize, and your brain would still whisper, they meant to give it to someone else. Take Emma, for instance. She's a brilliant software engineer who just launched a groundbreaking app. Her team cheers, her boss gives her a raise, and her mom finally stops asking when she'll get a real job. But instead of celebrating, Emma spends her nights convinced she's one bug away from being exposed as a tech imposter. She's basically the human equivalent of a duck, calm on the surface but paddling like crazy underneath. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it robs you of the joy of your accomplishments. You're so busy waiting for the other shoe to drop that you forget to enjoy the fact that you're wearing shoes in the first place. Imposter syndrome keeps you stuck in a loop of self-doubt, making it harder to take risks or own your success. And let's face it, life's too short to live in fear of your own highlight reel. Victim complex. Ever met someone who could turn "I stubbed my toe" into a 3-act tragedy? That's the victim complex in action. It's the belief that the universe has a personal vendetta against you, and every minor inconvenience is proof of its grand conspiracy. You're the star of your own soap opera, and everyone else is just a supporting character in your saga of suffering. Take Dave, for example. Dave's life is a never-ending series of woe is me moments. His coffee was lukewarm. Clearly, the barista hates him. His Wi-Fi is slow. The tech gods are punishing him for no reason. He even blames his cat for eating his homework, except he doesn't have a cat. Dave's so busy playing the victim that he doesn't notice he's the one holding the script. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it traps you in a cycle of blame and helplessness. Instead of taking control of your life, you're stuck waiting for someone else to fix it. It's like sitting in a broken car, complaining about the engine, but refusing to learn how to drive. The victim complex keeps you stuck in neutral, and let's be honest, life's too short to be your own worst drama queen. Savior complex. Do you have an uncontrollable urge to rescue everyone around you, even if it means setting yourself on fire to keep others warm? Congratulations, you might have a savior complex. It's the belief that you're the only one who can fix people's problems, even when they didn't ask for help. You're like a superhero, but instead of a cape, you're wearing a giant sign that says, "I'll save you at the cost of my own sanity." Take Lisa, for example. Lisa's the friend who's always bailing everyone out, literally. Her perpetually broke buddy needs rent money. Lisa hands over her savings. Her coworker can't finish a project. Lisa stays up all night doing it for them. Meanwhile, her own life is falling apart because she's too busy being everyone else's life raft. She's basically a human Band-Aid, but even Band-Aids need to be replaced eventually. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it leads to burnout, codependency, and a serious case of, where did my life go? You can't pour from an empty cup, but the savior complex convinces you to keep pouring anyway. It's like running a marathon with no finish line, exhausting and utterly pointless. Life's too short to be everyone's hero, especially when you're the one who needs saving. Martyr complex. Ah, the martyr complex. The art of turning self-sacrifice into an Olympic sport. It's the belief that suffering for others is your calling. And if you're not miserable, you're not doing it right. You're like a walking guilt trip, always ready to remind everyone how much you've given up for them. Oh, you're eating the last slice of pizza? Don't worry, I'll just starve. It's fine. Really. Take Susan, for instance. Susan volunteers for every thankless task at work, stays late to cover for her colleagues, and then complains that no one appreciates her. She's the human equivalent of a candle, burning herself down to light up others, all while sighing dramatically. Her catchphrase? I guess I'll just do it myself. Again. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it creates a toxic cycle of resentment and exhaustion. You're so busy playing the martyr that you forget to take care of yourself. It's like running a charity, where the only donor is you, and the only beneficiary is everyone else. Life's too short to be a perpetual sacrifice, especially when the only applause you'll get is from your own pity party. Guilt complex. Do you feel guilty for things you didn't even do? Like, if someone stubs their toe across the room, you're already apologizing? Welcome to the guilt complex, where you're the star of your own courtroom drama, and the verdict is always guilty. It's the belief that you're responsible for everything bad that happens, even if it's clearly not your fault. You could trip over a rock, and your first thought would be, I'm so sorry, Rock. I didn't mean to hurt you. Take Mike, for example. Mike's guilt complex is so advanced that he apologizes to inanimate objects. His toaster burns his bread. Sorry, toaster, I shouldn't have pushed you so hard. His dog eats his homework. I'm a terrible pet parent. Mike's guilt is so overwhelming that he once apologized to a vending machine for not having exact change. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it turns you into a walking apology, constantly weighed down by unnecessary remorse. It's like carrying a backpack full of bricks labeled, I'm sorry, even when you've done nothing wrong. The guilt complex keeps you stuck in a cycle of self-blame, making it hard to enjoy life or stand up for yourself. And let's face it, life's too short to apologize for existing. Abandonment complex? Do you panic when someone doesn't text back within 0.2 seconds? Do you interpret, I need some space, as I never want to see you again? Congratulations, you might have an abandonment complex. It's the fear that everyone you love will eventually leave you, no matter how much they reassure you otherwise. You're like an emotional detective, constantly searching for clues that you're about to be ditched. Take Sarah, for example. Sarah's abandonment complex is so intense that she once cried because her favorite barista went on vacation. What if she never comes back? What if she's found a better coffee shop? What if she's replaced me with a more loyal customer? Sarah's relationships are a roller coaster of clinginess and jealousy, all because she's terrified of being left alone. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it sabotages relationships before they even have a chance to thrive. You're so busy preparing for the worst that you create the very scenario you're trying to avoid. It's like building a fortress around your heart, only to realize you've locked yourself in. Life's too short to live in constant fear of being left behind, especially when you're the one holding the key. Superiority complex. Do you walk into a room and immediately think, wow, I'm the smartest, most interesting person here? Do you secretly believe everyone else is just background characters in the movie of your life? That's the superiority complex, a delusional belief that you're basically a god among mortals. It's like having a permanent crown on your head, even if it's made of paper mache and glitter. Take Karen, for example. Karen's superiority complex is so strong that she once corrected a NASA scientist on rocket propulsion during a casual dinner party. Spoiler, Karen's expertise comes from binge-watching sci-fi movies. She's the kind of person who turns every conversation into a monologue about how amazing she is, completely oblivious to the eye rolls around her. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it alienates everyone around you. You're so busy admiring your own reflection that you forget to connect with real people. It's like being the star of a one-person show in an empty theater. The superiority complex keeps you isolated, And let's face it, life's too short to be your own biggest fan, especially when your fan club consists of, well, just you. Oedipus and Electra complex. Oh, the Oedipus and Electra complexes. Freud's gift to awkward family dinners everywhere. These are the unconscious desires to marry your opposite sex parent and defeat your same-sex parent. It's like a soap opera playing out in your subconscious, complete with drama, jealousy, and a lot of unresolved feelings. Take Tim, for example. Tim's Oedipus complex is so strong that he's still trying to impress his mom at 35. He brings her flowers every week, calls her daily, and once canceled a date because his mom needed help organizing her spice rack. Meanwhile, he's constantly butting heads with his dad, who he sees as a rival for his mom's affection. It's like a weird family love triangle, and Tim's stuck in the middle. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it messes with your ability to form healthy relationships. You're either trying to recreate your parents' love or competing with them, which makes dating complicated. It's like trying to build a house on a foundation of emotional spaghetti. Life's too short to let Freudian drama dictate your love life, especially when your mom's not even on the guest list. Peter Pan complex. Do you refuse to grow up, clinging to your childhood like it's the last slice of pizza at a party? That's the Peter Pan complex, a refusal to embrace adulthood, complete with a side of responsibility? No thanks, I'm good. You're the eternal kid, dodging bills, careers, and anything that requires a 401k. Take Jake, for instance. Jake's 32, but still lives like he's in college. His idea of a balanced meal is cereal for dinner, and his savings account is a shoebox labeled future stuff. He's the guy who shows up to job interviews in a graphic tee and flip-flops, then wonders why he didn't get hired. Jake's motto, adulting is overrated. Why is this dysfunctional? Because it keeps you stuck in a state of arrested development. You're so busy avoiding responsibility that you miss out on the joys and, yes, challenges of adulthood. It's like being stuck in a never-ending game of tag, where you're always it, but you refuse to chase anyone. Life's too short to stay in Neverland, especially when there's a whole world out there waiting for you to grow into it. Recognize any of these complexes for yourself? While we cannot offer therapy, if you'd like to explore more interesting topics like these, subscribe to our channel.